Stibbs now is no longer with us. Madam Speaker, it took a whole lot of work, toil and pain of various communities to get together and push for this location. I think of the people who worked hard, Dave Hales, Kathy Peterson, all community leaders, Vince Trayers. They worked hard. And it was done by normal, average people, not by stakeholders or medical service people or perhaps nurses or unions. It was normal, everyday citizens, residents who stood up and believed that it was time for those living south of Fraser that they would finally get their fair share. I remember well the knocking on doors, the signatures, talking to the mayors, talking to the premier, rally for the push of the Fraser Health Authority of the day to work on behalf of the community. The number of letters, I remember the petitions, the door-to-door campaign. I remember small business and their unequivocal support for this essential need. And now it's squandered away by this provincial Liberal government.
Okay, so poverty of the mind. This is like so serious, because this is like one of those political hurdles that I've had to, continuously jump, right? And, at best I got over, I didn't even get over it, right? In terms of the height of having to jump over the, how can I say this? So you got a lady, okay? She's sick. Even though she happens to be a homeowner that's, with a husband that neglected her and psychologically abused her, because she was a homeowner, she didn't qualify for a lot of services per se, right? And because she came from a different part of India that wasn't the collective that was, in her area, she didn't get the help that she needed because, those charities, there was one in particular that I went to and even went into the temples, and it was not, it's just, if you live in a rich community where there's millions of dollars in assets, and collectively probably billions,
as an activist and a politician,
but yet there are no services within that collective for the one who needed the most, regardless of whether she was a property owner or not. Didn't matter. The woman was sick and she needed help, and I know I needed help because I looked after a little girl for 3.5 years and nobody paid me for that. Okay, so I didn't get no help. So services, they only provided just the monitoring to make sure that the little girl was looked after, and because I was looking after her, they allowed the mother to keep her, right? Because that's what the family wanted at that time. The minute I moved out of there, though, that changed. For a while I had to demand with social services to, make sure that she had daycare before I left, because I refused to leave. I was going to lay on the bare floor with the rats running around because the rats came back. And, with her, while her mother was off delivering newspapers at 4 a.m. downtown, trying to be responsible, trying to do the right thing, trying to be a homeowner. But at the end of the day, she owned a shanty shack full of rats that, to her, $1 was $1 million in charity, she lived in a community that had $1 billion in assets that failed her 100% based on the idea that she didn't fit their criteria of what was right in our society when it came from what part of the country she came from when she immigrated from India. That is a hurdle that I still struggle with today, because it's a systemic ideology that interferes with the progression of moving forward in our society, and therefore it goes back to being a failing society. Because if we can't fix that, okay, and that would be like institutional racism within institutional racism within institutional racism, the subgroup of the subgroup, It goes a little deeper than just institutional racism.
When the Liberal government took control of the province, they conducted back then what was known as core reviews. But where's
poverty of the mind? Who has the poverty of the mind? The billion-dollar community that failed to help a vulnerable human being, even though it had the resources to do so, if it really, analyzed it and admitted the truth. Or the lady with the $1 that came to my table and tossed me it on my table and said, put this for charity. And I'm standing there rolling my eyes like, charity, okay. We know all about charity. I've remember since I moved in, it ain't been nothing but charity with you. I used to wash this lady's hair because she had head lice and she had like East Indian hair, right? So it's a different kind of hair, very thick. And because, you know, she had her mental problems, it was hard to get rid of, right? And initially when I started to wash her hair, she had dreads in her hair. And by the time I finished combing out her dreads, that's how neglected this woman was. I had a bag full of hair, okay? And then from that point forward, for months, on top of doing her laundry for her, doing her little girl's hair, doing my kids' hair, you know, and doing her hair. This lady at the end used to come up with her shampoo, and oh, she loved it, right? She used to come up for her shampoo and her towel, and she'd go, Judy, I want my hair, oh, Judy, because she loved it. She loved me. She loved having her head under the water and sink with it running warm with me washing her hair, right? And then combing it out and taking out the knits, and then, you know, I'd have to go down there and do her laundry for her, and, you know, and so this is what I'm saying. Poverty of the mind. You know, it's $1 billion doesn't prevent people from not having poverty of the mind. Just as much as $1 on a table suggesting it's $1 million doesn't prove that, you know, there isn't poverty of the mind. Something in there. You know, something in there that isn't right.
They're going to sell transportation corridors. Give us the list. Well, maybe someone already knows what the list is. Inside track. I mean, you think they'd learn something. Now, will a government come clean?
So there's a difference between poverty of the mind and the entitlement mentality. Republicans, conservatives, all those kind, you know, BC Liberals, they're famous for pulling out the entitlement, you know, entitlement word, right? Entitlement programs, you know, entitlement mentality, you know, hand out, right, that kind of thing. Poverty of the mind is different, though, and that's what that lady taught me. She taught me that, you know, with that dollar, on the assumption that it was to signify $1 million, but to go out into a community where there's billions of dollars, and to see that they couldn't even give $1,
who's now still fighting,
gave me the other side of the coin when it came to poverty of the mind. Because as soon as you start accepting the fact that it's okay for people to be out in the street homeless, drug addicted, hungry, living in bug infested buildings, you know, living in basement suites where the electrical wiring can blow you up, right? You know, as soon as you start, I'm just using that as an example, right? Or sick ladies living in their own shanty shacks, even though they're, you know, technically registered as homeowners, but definitely are suffering from serious mental issues. You know, when you start accepting that as normal, everyday,
but this is what the government,
you know, none of your problems, not your problem. That's not your bed that you made for yourself, kind of thing, right? And you allow it to fester and to continue and to spread. Well, at the same time, you with the money are bringing in laws that are making it even more difficult for this disenfranchised group of individuals. You know, you have to ask yourself, what is the meaning of poverty of the mind? If you think that it's okay for people to be homeless, then definitely you suffer from poverty of the mind, because that's where your mind is at. Okay, that's the level. Even though you might have money to you know, shelter that from people and hide it and, you know, cover it under a cloak of metal or whatever it is that, you know, you got going in your life, at the end of the day, when you drive by and you know that lady's sick and you're not even trying to make a difference, or if you give that $1 donation thinking you made a difference, you need to really stop and think about it, right?
What it's going to do, the toll evaders in my community, the toll evaders who are not going to pay the tolls.
No, $1 billion community, and not even $1 for the lady that gave $1, signifying it was $1 million. And I'm standing there, like I said, rolling my eyes.
$3 a day to go to work, $3 to come back to work.
Well, everybody's still crying on like they're victims.
South of Fraser, once again, is going to get the wrong end
you know,
of the stick.
You go to that $1 billion community and they'll tell you they don't have any money.
Assets. Hydro.
But yet, like I said, you know, scratch off the surface, start looking at the assets, you know, tally it up, and yeah, that $1 could very well turn into $1 million. So maybe that lady blessed me in a weird kind of a way, because you know what? If that community doesn't step up with the $1 billion and start participating and doing their fair share, I'm telling you, It's just a matter of time before I have a nervous breakdown, and I'm going to pack the shit up, and I'm going to drop it off at Christy Clark's office. And if I manage to get through this next, this term, right, and the election comes up, and whenever they're going up for their election, and I still got this nonprofit, and the Liberals come back in, and I'm still sitting there griping on about the same crap, well, people accusing me of having the entitlement mentality, then that premier will get the box. But at the end of the day, that's kind of where we're still at with this rant that we brought into the House, number 13.
The Consumer Association of Canada is opposed to it. ICBC is a Crown corporation owned and operated by the people of British Columbia, this province. The government has responsibility to ensure that it operates in the best interests of British Columbians and the motorists and the ratepayers, not to line the government's pockets as another means of taxation, because they mismanage this province. It's shameful. The same thing happened. They may have got the idea years ago when they decided to raid the surplus to hand out big bonuses to management. Maybe they something twig. Well, we can go a little further with this kind of thing. 12% in rates are going up, not because we have bad motorists on the road.
So this guy's got some personality, and he's not even warmed up yet.
In the 1990s, ICBC was argued as a break-even business.
I'd like to see him hot under a collar.
Provide the best possible auto insurance for the least possible cost. That's what the NDP government did then, and that's what we're going to do, and we're government again. We're not here to gouge the public. The premium of taxes, they've increased the tax burden again of families. This is supposed to be agenda for the families. It's not. You have a deteriorating middle class that will get hit once again and again with an increase of $187.
Yes, but we're not going to feel sorry for ourselves, okay? Just remember that, no matter what. You can feel sorry for yourself sometimes, that's okay. But when you get into a perpetual rut where you're constantly feeling sorry for yourself, that's not healthy. So, feel sorry for yourself for a day, go eat your comfort food, and then you got to bounce back.
And that's the subtle gouging of the unfortunate, the low income. And yeah, I'm sure some of you buy lottery tickets. It's an issue for whatever reason we haven't been talking about. The view was per annum on the surplus plans, we were going to see 8% revenue. So maybe we had 3% GDP year after year, but for whatever reason we're increasing the grab through promotion of gaming in this province. 8%. This budget is now 12%.
Gaming?
It's going after those.
Don't get me going on that one.
It's another poor man's tax. And this government should be ashamed about itself. We've heard all the stories about loan sharking in Richmond. We know online gaming is going to continue. And this government is going after the vulnerable once again. That's all it knows. Its bottom line is not for the people of British Columbia. I'm opposed to this budget, and I will fight hard to defeat this government. Thank you all.
Thank you, member.